So I think this is going. Okay, cool. Hi, I am Claire Yazel, and I will be presenting on my chosen section of the textbook. Wow, we're just gonna go with it. We're gonna go. So I chose part 5, which is presenting in the workplace. Like I said, I'm Claire Yazel, and let's just jump right in. So, just a quick overview in case you forgot about part 5. This section discussed presenting in the workplace and what is the most effective way to create presentations, and also how they're used in the workplace. I also chose this as my section because I personally enjoy planning and creating presentations. I really enjoy the design process. I enjoy the organization of it. I think it's fun to talk to people about things that you're interested in, and yeah, I enjoy public speaking. I also think that the creation process requires a strategic communications field of mind, so that's part of PR, public relations, which is my major. So I think that I'm able to use some of those skills that I've learned and kind of tie them into that. So I was really interested in presentations and that kind of thing, and I think I learned a lot through this chapter, or through these chapters, about how they're used in the business world, and how I can better use them in a more effective way. So to jump right into chapter 11, informing and persuading is the topic of that chapter. So that includes formulating the topic of your speech, defining the purpose of that, and then also understanding the strategies to effectively persuade or inform the audience. So basically what that means is that you're trying to start off the process by figure out what your topic's going to be and why you're presenting about it. And the textbook separates it into either you're going to inform or you're going to persuade your audience. And I think that that's really important to know right off the bat, because you need to know if you're going to be, trying to persuade them with logic or emotion, or if you're trying to inform them, what's the most effective way to inform them. So my favorite concept from this chapter was identifying the purpose, because it's the first step in the presentation creation process, and it's the foundation of any presentation and key to communicating an effective message. So basically what that means is that you're going to formulate a specific message that represents the goal outcome of your presentation, and without it, no one will know what direction you're going in. Nobody will understand why you're talking. They'll be like, why are you up here? So I think it's really important that you figure out why the heck you're even going to talk. And that will set the mood for the rest of that process. So I really think that's important. And I also loved that the book described this as the thesis statement in an essay, because I never took a class on presentations, but I took so many about how to write an essay, and it's such a good way to kind of put it in layman's terms for how people can use that transferable skill of writing a thesis statement and an essay to doing that same kind of idea for presentations, so they're not so scary. Because we know how to do this. Essays, we've been doing them forever. So my personal connection to this is I have experience writing and delivering a graduation speech at my high school graduation, because I was class secretary. Fun fact. The purpose of my speech was to dismiss the graduating class and conclude the ceremony. Fun fact, I had pneumonia for 2 weeks going up to that, and they thought I wasn't going to be able to walk at graduation, let alone speak. So my parents were like, that's not going to happen. They pumped me full of fluids, and I got to do it. So, like I said, the purpose was to dismiss the graduating class and to conclude the ceremony. And an added part of that was my advisor told me, she kind of coached me through writing my speech, and she told me that it was my job to get really heartfelt and pull at all the mom's heartstrings and make them cry. So I used emotional appeal in that sense, where I tried to reminisce on the last 4 years and how once we walk out that door, we're on to a new chapter in our lives as high school graduates. And I also had the purpose of a call to action where I had to actually get them to leave the gym. So that was the kind of the purpose. And so going into that, I needed to know, why I was going to get up there and talk, because I know that graduations are already too long. And if I just got up there and rambled, I'm sure nobody would be happy. Especially not me, because I already also had to been there 2 hours. So, yeah. Chapter 12. And that was where you get into designing the speech. We're kind of in the body section of it. So, like I said, process of designing a speech, understanding how to organize the informational content. So you're gonna gathering like the actual meat of what you're gonna talk about, and you're kind of putting it into a flow chart of what's gonna get talked about first and second and third. And then this chapter also talked about most effective presentation openings and closings, and how to use those. So the section or the concept that resonated with me the most was researching. And I chose this actually because I don't think I'm that good at it. And so I'm going to talk about that later. Just heads up. Researching is the process of gathering information for the presentation. We get to know what kind of stuff we're going to talk about, just like in general. You start to pull statistics that you want to include, and you're getting stuff to back up what you're going to say. So the important thing to know is what to include and what to cut out. And if you're like me, struggle with balancing quality and quantity, because if you include too much, it gets way too long and boring, and your audience is tired of hearing about it. Or if you cut out too much, if you have very little information, you're not making a very good argument. You're not, there's not much meat to the actual conversation you're trying to create. So you want to have good content, and not a ton of it, but not enough of it. You need to have a balance there. So my personal connection with this, I said, I'm actually not that great at this, I don't think, because I waste too much time collecting information that I then get rid of because I didn't need it. And so when I was focusing on this section and this concept specifically, I wanted to come out with a way that, come out on the other end of that with how I can go into my career knowing that I can do this better. So I said two things. One, I could have better planning before entering the research stage, and also I could refine what information is necessary to prove the point. So with that, but when you know you're having a specific topic, not just like a broad topic, it's a lot easier to get fewer sources and fewer statistics to go with a more defined topic. And also, when I said I'm refining what information is necessary to prove the point, you don't. If I'm out here pulling, something that's kind of related to the topic, I don't need it because I'm going to have enough sources on the actual topic. Don't keep pulling all these side things that, well, what if I want to talk about this? No. Be very direct and have your topic and know what you need. So the last chapter is chapter 13, delivering a presentation. In this chapter, we talk about using public speaking strategies to most effectively communicate verbally and non-verbally, and also talk about creating visual aids that support your message, which leads me to my personal connection with the concept of visual aids, because I just love them. I love them so much. And they can make or break your presentation. And I have a lot of opinions about visual aids. I am very opinionated about what the design should look like, and if people have like giant paragraphs of information on their slides, I get frustrated. Or if there's like a bunch of colors and like weird fonts that you can't read, I get frustrated. So yeah, I also want to point out that there's a balance with this also with the amount of content you display. So you don't want to overload your presentation with content. You don't want too much text because you can't read it. You don't want too many weird colors because it's distracting. You don't want images that don't relate to what you're talking about because that's distracting too. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, you don't want it to be barren. You don't want it to be boring because you want something interesting for your audience to look at. And also with visual aids, my personal thing that I like about them is that design elements allow for personal freedom. So I like being able to do colors and fonts and images that kind of tie together a presentation and kind of almost brand it. And that goes into my personal connection, which is that with my experience in public relations and strategic communication, I think that it really ties into presenting because visual aids are a form of strategic writing and strategic design, and that's something that we get taught a lot about. And you need to have a purpose for everything, and everything should relate back to the message. So if it doesn't relate, why do you have it? That kind of thing. Like, there's no pictures of cats on here. There's nobody, no like crazy, weird video I'm gonna include in this. So yeah, that is my personal connection with that. And to summarize, basically I chose this section about presenting because number one, presentation skills are a valuable asset to any career, any industry. You're gonna need to know how to present because you may have to present to your boss, your colleagues, an investor, or even like the public, you know, and it's important to be able to have just like the basic skills necessary to do it and do it well. And personally, my connection to this topic is that I think they're a strength that I have. I say this, I included this, but I hope that I didn't prove it wrong with this presentation. This is my first time doing something like this, so yeah, I really enjoy them. I think I've made a case for that in this time as well. So here are my sources, and this is the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you.